SGC here, and we're back for a movie review. Headshot. Directed by Timo Tjahjanto and Kimo Stamboel, known as the Mo brothers. This is their first time directing an action film. And this movie stars Iko Uwais, the dude that was in Raid 1 and 2. And everyone else, check down below. So what's this film about? After an amnesiac is nursed back to health by a doctor, his past comes back to haunt him type of thing. Doctor gets abducted and he has to save her. And that's basically the entire film. So what did I think? Well, first of all, I didn't read that stuff about them never directing a action film before I watched the movie. I read this up after the fact and also found out that one of the directors wrote the storyline in 2.5 weeks, and apparently it's the fastest story he's ever produced, which really is evident. So first off, let's just get on with the complaints I have about this movie. The pacing is horrible. It's almost a 2-hour film. The story is really bad in terms of that there's just not enough time for you to care about any of the characters, and especially the pacing is weird. We start out with Lee, the father of Iko's character, and then he's this badass dude. He breaks out of jail, and then we go with Iko, and then we meet the doctor, and then the people start hunting Iko already, and you're like, whoa, that's so much time that hasn't passed, and you expect me to like connect and be with these people. Long story short, there's a lot of pacing issues. You don't really care about all these characters at all, or I didn't, until there's a good twist where you find out that Iko's like, his past is connected to all these killers that are trying to kill him, and they're actually all brothers and sisters, or orphan brothers and sisters. They grew up together, they have a strong bond, and because of him being amnesiac and the fact that he wants to rescue the doctor, he's fighting them, and they're just like, why are you fighting us? What's going on? But he's like, you know what? You guys are killing me anyways. And that's another thing. I never understood why they wanted him dead. That never came across. Either I just zoned out and totally missed that point, but I can't for the life of me remember why they wanted to kill him in the first place. So yeah, it's hard. The story here, they just don't give you enough time to care about these characters, because literally when the doctor finds them, they're like patching him up, and he slowly becomes sort of like, hey, I can be helpful around here type of person. It's their typical amnesiac arc where they become a better person because they're a blank slate, and you're like sort of feel bad for them, and then you root for them type of thing. And then the Korean film called Lucky, they done that really well. Use a lot of time to build up his character as a new person, and then as he remembers things, he's conflicted. But there's no confliction here at all. Though the whole twist where the whole, oh, I'm actually killing my orphan brothers and sisters. That was a cool thing. And then at the end when the doctor's like, oh my goodness, you're here to save me. It's just, you don't really care. Yeah. So anyway, do not watch this movie for the story, which is unfortunate, because I mean, Raid 1 and Raid 2 had very simple story plots, and you were like, oh, Iko sort of participated in this movie, and he did the fight choreo, like maybe he really likes the story or something. But yeah, don't watch it for the story, and then you'll like it a lot more. But then again, this movie is 2 hours long, so it's very hard to justify with the story, with especially the fight sequences. So yeah, let's get to the fight sequences. So Iko choreoed it for 3 weeks. That's what he did. And it is fine. The fight sequences are fine. It's brutal. It's violent. It sort of reminds you of the Raid, but not as intense. Though the thing is that the directors, for some reason, had a great vision of following the movement with the camera. Say like if he tips over and falls over a table or something, the camera falls with him, and that was cool. And then there's some focus where just like drone, like an overhead sort of panning shot, and it just goes back and forth, or like a top down shot, and it was cool and all. But then when the actual fight sequences happen, it was like they were too close to the action that, sure, you know who's fighting who and what kind of moves, but it was still like such a blur in terms of non-context fighting. Like if they pull back a little bit more, because a lot of the shots started from the top of their heads to their waist. I feel like if they added in more of the legs and just more of a breathing room above the heads, that shot would have been done a lot better. Or a lot of the shots would have been done better. So definitely in this movie, fight sequences are there, but you would go like, why don't I just watch the Raid 1 and 2 or On Bak or anything else that are fighting intense? So yeah, this is a really mixed bag. I mean, you can't really expect much, especially when now that I read that the story was written in 2.5 weeks. That's not a lot of time. So definitely, if I could have fixed this, it's a lot of fixing in terms of pacing issues. Just really focus on Iko's sort of like blank slate, becoming a good person, and then throw in the I want to kill you sort of arc. The beginning could have been totally like cut. This movie could be a lot shorter. So it's just too bad. I mean, the fact that he came on this, I mean, I was hopeful when I first saw the trailer. I was like, a lot of fight sequences were kind of cool, but watching the whole thing, like almost 2-hour film, was just really hard to watch. And also, an actress that played the doctor totally isn't convincing as a doctor at all. She's just, I don't know, it totally didn't work. I did not feel like she was going to be a doctor character. It's just more like a teenager off the street that he bumps into type of like, oh, I'm going to school type of person versus like a full-fledged doctor. So yeah, there's a lot of pacing issues, a lot of story issues. Choreo is alright, but it doesn't justify the rest of the movie. And I mean, like, what I think of like just fight scenes, like Ip Man or On Bak, sure, the story is pretty dry, but like the fight scenes are like, whoa, holy smokes, these are intense. Whereas this one is just like, I don't know, I've seen it. I mean, it is cool to see different fighting styles, because each sort of killer has their own fight style, and it's interesting to see Iko's character fight them all. And that's another thing, is in terms of fighting, it's just like Iko just doesn't die. He has a lot of injuries, but he's, you know, because of time constraints, the movie feels like it's going very fast, happens in 2 days or something. So it's like, dude, you should have died. But then, that's again with a lot of action films with Hollywood anyways. But this guy's getting all bloody and stuff, so it's not just superficial. Like, he should have died and bled out type of thing. And then, but yeah, I mean, props for like first time action directors, I guess, but it could have been so much better. I mean, like when I think of like first time directors, John Wick, I mean, those guys filmed second unit stuff, but when they helmed the camera for the first time as directors, they pull it off, because stunt directors, stunt guys know what they're doing. So it's just unfortunate to see Headshot become like this. It could have been, I mean, it was a very safe sort of story to begin with. Amnesiac storylines have been done to death, and it's just like, well, where can you go wrong? And they did. They focus on the main guy, Lee, and they try to really build up his whole mysteriousness of it all, and you just don't care. Like, there's a lot of, I didn't really care for anything in this movie, so that's the most sad part about it all. So yeah, that's it. I have nothing else to say. If you have seen Headshot, leave your comments down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And that's it for this movie review for Headshot. Later.